I have been debating with myself and also talking about it and debating on the air throughout the year the price tag for Fred VanVleet. And off the air, I have been convinced he's going to get close to a max deal. And I have not had the stones to say it on the air. But now I'm willing to go there. I think it's going to be close. I think if the Raptors aren't willing to get close, I think another team will. I think with the cap being flat, that limits kind of where he's where that number might eventually get to for him. But this dude is a legit stud, like a legit winner and a legit stud. He changes the attitude of your team, the mood of your team. There are too many bad teams in this league that have money to spend that would spend it in many, many worse ways than Fred VanVleet. I think the Raptors have to be prepared to pay him and pay him a lot. Where do you see this going?
I keep going back and forth on that as well because I think, like, more than anything else, and this is usually the case, especially with guys that aren't a clear max player, when Fred isn't a clear max player, it's going to come down to the market. And this is going to be a really interesting free agent year. It already wasn't supposed to be very good. You've got sort of a watered-down group of players where, I mean, Fred could be the best player on the market potentially. And then as a result of that, you've got a lot of teams that looked ahead to this offseason and they're like, okay, well, there's not a lot of players out there. They're looking ahead to the summer of 2021 and saving their money for that. So you basically got 5 or 6 teams that figure to have significant cap space during the offseason, and only 2 of them have a real need at the guard position. I say guard because it doesn't necessarily need to be point guard. The Raptors don't play Fred at point guard technically, but some of these teams are loaded at the guard position. So we're really looking at, I think, the Pistons and the Knicks. So it comes down to ultimately how much those 2 teams value Fred VanVleet and how much Fred VanVleet would be willing to go to either of those teams to take a bit more money and to be part of a rebuild and a losing club. It only takes one. So maybe one of those teams, maybe Dwayne Casey and the Pistons say, okay, well, we want to build around Fred, and they go out there and they offer him a max deal or they offer him $25 million or whatever. I just think that there isn't going to be a lot of teams that are financially capable of breaking the bank to pay him. So I don't think it's going to be a bidding war necessarily. And I also don't think the Raptors are going to bet against are going to compete against themselves to give him more money. We saw that with Kyle Lowry a few years ago. You sort of read the market, read the room, and give him whatever the value is. So I'm still thinking it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 18 to 22, unless, of course, one of those teams really decides to go all in on Fred.
Yeah, and I would expect it. I really would. And Detroit in particular, they cannot get free agents. They can't. So they have to pay a bit of a tax anyway. So if
you're one of those bad teams, you're probably not going to get. You're not going to get Giannis. You're not going to get one. No,
you're not getting them
in 2021.
You're not
so why not spend it now?
Exactly. Exactly. And if Fred goes, listen, you offered me 20. If you make it 25, I'm coming. They'll make it 25.
You throw 18 in his face, he's going to laugh at you.
Exactly.
Any team.
Any team. And that's my concern, especially this team. If they run it back again, he's going to say, pay me.
It's interesting with Fred. He's a loyal guy. Obviously, he loves Toronto, but he's also an incredibly smart businessman. And let's face it, he's earned the right to say, okay, I want as much money as I can possibly get out there.
Absolutely.
And Josh, he has an agent.
Yeah.
Forget about that.
They always do. Yeah, right. I mean, playing the market, that's what you should be doing. So listen, cherish it while it's here and while it's ongoing. I would like to believe they'll find a way to make that happen. But if he's a free agent and the money comes calling, anything could happen. So, they really got to catch lightning in a bottle here, and they're well on the way to doing that.